Alright everyone, welcome back to my Devil May Cry 5 S-Rank guide, and today I'm going to be helping you with mission 7. So you can actually play this mission as both Nero or V. I chose to play it as Nero, and that's who I feel the majority would have chosen anyway. If you chose V, then you shouldn't have any problems because there isn't much difficult fights in this, so you just do our strategy of wiggling your joystick and pressing square and triangle as him. A couple of optional enemies spawn here, so you just want to skip them and avoid them. And by the way, I'm using whatever the hell I feel like it for my Devil Breaker, so you do not have to copy my mag, so you could just use whatever you want. And here we're gonna be approaching our first mandatory fight, and it's gonna contain enemy spawners. Technically this fight isn't walled off, so you can skip it as long as you take out the spawner, but I count the spawner fights as mandatory fights. So this is just gonna be a bunch of Hell and Tenoras, so nothing too difficult. And when the spawner spawns enough enemies, it will automatically kill itself. So even if you don't attack the spawner, it will die by itself anyway when it spawns enough enemies. So what I suggest you do here is do not fight the spawner because it only spawns like 2 or 3 Hell Antenoras anyway. And just kill the Antenoras because that way you're gonna get more style. So as long as you're confident in your ability to not die to like 3 or 4 Hell Antenoras, then you should be good here. Just make sure to always taunt, exceed, vary up your moves, and yeah, we are gonna be good here. I let out a couple of swings in the air, I then go into a taunt, and then I dodge its attack, and then I continue fighting it. Just make sure to avoid them when they empower when you knock them down on the ground, and yeah, it's not hard. Just make sure, yeah, they're devil triggered now, so you just want to avoid getting hit. But other than that, we are almost done here. If you want, you can kill the spawner and just move on, but I suggest just take out all the Antenoras and the spawner will die itself. The Antenoras can try to hit you out of the air, like by jumping, like right there. So what you want to do, you just want to be either high enough, or if you're on the ground, then you just want to dodge to the side, and you'll be good there. But alright, I keep fighting. I take a hit here in a second, because I was coming out of the streak animation, so you want to not do that. But alright, I killed another Antenora, and look, another one comes out of the spawner. But look, this spawner broke itself, so now I don't have to worry about that anymore. I just have to kill the last Antenora now. And this is going to be the only fight in the mission where we actually let the spawner die by itself. Because in this fight, it's only a few enemies, and in the other fights, it's going to be more. So we're going to take out the spawners first in the other fights. But alright, then you take out the last Antenora. I do a little taunt there, and then I buster it. Take it out, and then you can move on. And while we're here, I want to mention that you should have your gun button at R2 because that way you can charge it while you're fighting, so you can let out more charge shots. But alright, we're done here now and we can move on with the rest of the level. So this next fight is going to be against a bunch of riots, and I already expressed in previous videos how much they're dangerous when they're in Devil Trigger. So we're going to kill the spawner first so that we prevent more from spawning. And then we're gonna focus on fighting the riot. So just take out the spawner. You can buster it if you want, so that wouldn't be a bad idea if you want to take out some quick damage from the spawner. Well, right, then you want to avoid the riot's attacks because especially when they're devil triggered, they hurt you so much. So just keep beating on them. You can just snatch them and then attack them. They're guaranteed to snatch over to you. Buster them if you want, but only in the air because when you're bustering in the air, it's safer than on the ground. And these guys are fairly easy to kill as long as you don't let them do anything. So just keep on beating on them and don't let them do anything to you because when they do, it does hurt. And what you can do is you can keep the other ones off screen. So like focus on one and just make sure the other ones aren't on screen because that way when enemies are off screen they pacify and they won't attack you, but they will try to get on screen. So you could try and do that, and yeah, you will be safer that way. And there's just these two left, so I killed this one, I buster him, and yeah, it's safer to buster in the air. And then yeah, that's the last one and it's dead. So it's not a hard fight, just make sure you avoid getting hit by these guys. Because if they hit you multiple times when they're devil triggered in one fight, then you're gonna lose like well over half your health. And now you're gonna be moving through here and there's gonna be a couple of optional enemies so you don't fight those mushroom looking things. I forgot their name. Just don't attack them because they do count as enemies. So just break the Clifront route and then go down the subway. And here we're gonna have another fight, which is gonna be one blocked off by a spawner. So technically you are able to skip it if you want, but we're gonna do it, even though I'm actually gonna break the spawner first. So I land a few hits on the Antenora and then I go get the spawner. And again, you can buster them if you want to let out some quick damage. So I start attacking the spawner, make sure it's dead and doesn't spawn more Antenoras. And once you take out the spawner, you are able to dip the fight if you want, but I'm gonna stay and kill them all. But alright, that is the spawner dead, and now I just have to kill a bunch of Hellcanis and Antenoras. So if you are staying to fight them, then it's not a hard fight at all. So just combo them all you want, just make sure you knock the Antenoras to the ground as little as possible so they don't empower as much. And yeah, just release some charge shots every now and again and vary up your moves. And yeah, it's really an easy fight. It's just a bunch of Helentinoras and Canis. So just beat on them, kill them all, and then move on. Not much else to say here in this fight. And you might be wondering, this mission is quite long, right? And it's not exactly long, but the last fight is against a bunch of Scotto and Proto-Angelos, which have had their health increased because they're the substitute for a boss fight in this mission. So we're gonna be spending a good bit of time fighting them. But not just yet, we still have a few more encounters to go through before we get there. And if you're playing as V, up until the next encounter, the next fight, V has a different path he takes, so therefore he has different locations he fights in, which I know duh, but I just want to point that out if you're playing as V instead of Nero. But again, I don't think you will have any trouble if you're doing this mission as V, because V is really easy to play in this game. And a lot of the encounters, Griffin's Charged Lightning will definitely help you a lot. But alright, we are almost done here with this fight. We just have to take out this last Talantinora and then we can finally move on. So I double trigger, start slashing it, and then it is almost dead. And then I charge shot it. So then he tries to charge at me but fails miserably because I dodge out of the way. And then I slash him a bunch and then he is finally dead. So now I speed up the gameplay a bit because you don't really have much fighting for a bit. So all you have to do is take up the Clifot route and then go down to the train, go through the train, and you end up here. And this fight contains a bunch of Pyrobats, Helentinoras, Canis, and a bunch of tentacles. And one thing to note here is that when you kill enough enemies, the tentacles will start spawning. But if you stand under the location they spawn at, they will damage you. So you want to like watch out. If you get hit, it's okay. You could probably heal that back in double trigger. But just saying. So I mean, if you stay at the place I am at right now, no tentacles spawn here. So you would be safe here if you're taking out a bunch of enemies here. So what you could do is snatch the enemies over to that location and then you will be good. And then when the tentacles spawn, you can just go back then and kill them. Like as you can see, I am staying in the far right here, making sure that no tentacles hit me. I broke my arm there, and now I'm gonna be using Rawhide. And fun fact about Rawhide, there's a tentacle by the way. Fun fact about Rawhide, it actually has a secret combo B. If you press circle and then wait a second and then press circle multiple times again, Nero will do a combo B which kind of looks like his own version of judgment cuts but just like really close range. But alright, I killed one of the dudes, so I didn't start focusing more on the tentacles to get rid of them. So I killed the tentacle, then I beat up the Helcana, I kill it, and then I go into and kill the other tentacles because now that they've spawned, I'd rather get rid of them because they could be kind of a nuisance mid-fight. They could like stab you while you're comboing. So you want to get rid of them real quick. And then once you got rid of the tentacles and the Pyrobats, it's just another bunch of Helcanas and Helentinoras. So what I start doing is I start charging my Rawhide, and then I let out my charge attack, which hits a bunch of enemies around, plus also hits the one I grabbed and does a lot of damage to it. So now I'm going to be using a Gerbera, and what you could do here if you have that equipped, you could charge it, jump in the air, and then let out a bunch of projectiles that like fly around hitting other enemies. That will help you a good amount too. I'm not going to do it here because I'm saving the Gerbera for the fight with Proto and Scotto Angelos. And Gerbera is a really good arm for that fight because it lets you get some early damage in real quick. So yeah, just keep beating the crap out of these guys. There's no more tentacles that will spawn here after you took them out. And then the next fight is going to be a bit harder because it contains 2 spawners, but we'll get to that when we get there. But okay, there we go. I kill a Helentinora right here. That's one dead. Just 2 more enemies to go. And then this is the second last fight before the quote-unquote boss fight. Yeah, the Angelos don't really count as a boss, but they're the substitute for a boss in this mission. Alright, I knocked the Antinora to the ground, but I managed to parry it with a streak. I shoot up the Helcana because why not, and then I let out a cheeky taunt to build up my style a little bit there. Dodge the Helentinora, then I kill it. It is dead. Now all that's left is the Helcana, which I just bust her, and barbim barboom, we are done. So next up we're going to be moving up the escalators here, but watch out because there is a couple of optional enemies which you don't want to fight. So just leave these guys alone and then just go up. And this next fight here we're going to be doing is going to contain 2 spawners. So you're going to want to take them out as quick as you can. And so yeah, focus on the spawners before you take out any enemies. And here you are going to be fighting Helcanas, Riots, and Death Scissors. So after you take out the 2 spawners, we're actually going to focus on the Death Scissors first so that we get them out of the way. We already have a strategy to kill them. So just keep beating on them until you clash your swords. Then once you do, you want to drop to the ground so that it does its spinning attack. And then you want to continue beating on the Death Scissors, slowly breaking down its scissors. And then you want to buster it. So yeah, clash the swords, then drop down. Keep beating on it then once again. And then once you break the scissors, you want to buster it and boom, it's dead. So then it's just Riots and Helcana. So you want to avoid getting hit, especially by the Riots. Like I said, they do a crap ton of damage. But other than that, you can just really fight them normally. Do what you want to them as long as it's, you know, varied up. Don't do the same moves. Just snatch them up, beat the crap out of them if you want buster them. And if you're bustering Hellcanas, do not buster them on the ground because the long animation is gonna get you killed. Bustering Hellcanas on the ground has such a long animation, so it's way better to buster them in the air. And yeah, once again in this fight, if you're using a Gerber, you can charge it up and then launch a bunch of projectiles at them. It's gonna help you kill them faster. And you can use Nico's phone in a bit after this fight anyway, so if you want you can call up and get another Gerber if you want, or whatever arms you want. And I do actually suggest getting a Gerber or two equipped before you head into the Angelo fights, because again, Gerber is going to be really useful there at the beginning to help you get a head start on damage. But alright, I do a taunt real quick, it builds up my style, I then do a streak, and then I kill these dudes. I beat up the Hellcana a bit, I then kill the Riot instead first, I charge shot it and it's dead. And then it's just a matter of killing the Hellcana, which is easy, and boom, we are done here. And now it's on to the quote-unquote boss fight. There is Nico's phone if you want to call it. I do suggest equipping yourselves with a Gerber. And yeah, on to the boss fight. I speed the game up a bit to waste less of your time, and then we're gonna start fighting the Angelos. So V is gonna help you out here, which is nice. So what you wanna do when you start this fight is you wanna charge up your Gerbera, and then you wanna jump and then release it, and it's gonna release a bunch of projectiles, which will give you a good head start in damage. And then it's just kind of beat the ever-living crap out of them until they die. So for the Scotto Angelos, what you can do to like make your life easier is jump behind them and then launch them so that they don't block your attacks with their shields. And you want to avoid getting hit by Protoss Angelos because goddamn they hit hard, especially when they double trigger. But we'll get to the Proto when we get there. For now we want to focus on taking out the smaller guys. And as you could probably tell, V is helping you out here, and that's good, but he will die. He is going to die at some point, so after a while you're gonna be on your own. There are instances where he can stay alive, but that's rarely gonna happen. By the time you finish fighting, V is gonna be dead already. And you can use your Devil Breakers to speed things up, because we are gonna be here a while. So for instance, if you have like a Helter Skelter or something, you can charge that up and then you're gonna like lunge yourself at enemies and killing them. So that's not a terrible idea. But other than that, you really just want to beat on them until they die. They're easy to avoid their attacks, maybe except the Protoss Angelos, but we're gonna focus on them later. For now, you just want to defeat the small guys. And the Proto can actually command the Scotto Angelos to like charge at you, so you want to watch out for that when that happens. So like they will all run at you and try to attack you. It's really easy to avoid. You just jump in the air and then like use Nero's triple jump to stay in the air longer until their attacks stop. But yeah, this is not a hard fight. They just have more health because they're the substitute for a boss. You can take them out like you normally would. Like later in the game, we're going to be fighting Scotto and Protoss, but they'll be easier to take out then because they won't have increased health. So yeah, just beat on them however you want. I taunted there and then I managed to parry, which was sick because then I got it stunned so I could do whatever I want to it. I do some jump cancelling on it to, you know, get a bit more damaging. Griffin is doing work, I could tell by the lightning there, so he's still helping out. And yeah, now I attack the Proto, which you want to avoid because again, he really does hurt you if he manages to hit you. I mean, you don't have to avoid him right now, but it is recommended to kill the small ones first for them to not interrupt you while you're fighting the Proto. And even when we kill the small ones, the Proto is still going to take a while to take down because when he double triggers, he gets a massive health increase in this fight. And you can also break the Scotto Angelo's shields if you want to, you just have to beat on them for long enough. Sometimes when you attack the shields, they will try to counter you, so just watch out for their attacks. You can just dodge or jump out of the way. But eventually when you beat on the shields for long enough, they will break. Oh, and now you can see V in the background there. He is now dead, so he won't be helping out anymore. Shadow and Griffin won't be there anymore to help us. So if V dies, you're on your own. Though I do have to say, if you are playing without turbo mode, then that V might be an actual player. So that means that he could be more competent than the AI and stay alive. And even when he dies, he could use a gold orb to revive. So yeah, the game can match you with actual players. It's just not like official co-op, you know? It's just in certain missions you can be matched with players. Like you could see V in mission 3 fighting on the bridge. Now imagine if they did a Devil May Cry 6 and had actual co-op in it. That would be insane. But okay, this is the last Scotto Angelo here that I just killed, and now it's just a Proto left. So as you can see, there's still a bit of time left in the video, meaning that we are going to be fighting him for quite a while. I mean, his health is still almost full. Okay, so if you have an overture here like I do, what you want to do is when he falls down on the ground flat, you want to plant a bomb on him by charging your overture, and then you can detonate it with your gun, or just buster him, and then the bomb will detonate by itself, which will grant you an extra bit of damage towards him. And what you could have also actually done, and I probably should have mentioned this before the boss fight here, but you could have brought a buster arm too, because a buster arm would do a lot more damage to Proto Angelo than a normal buster would. You could save yourself some time that way because the buster arm will take out more damage. So you want to avoid his slashes by jumping or dodging out of the way, and then that's the best time to attack him, when he's like recovering from his animation. Then you want to get a few hits in, but then he could block your attacks, and then he could like try and parry you. And also when you're far away from him, he will like charge up his sword and then try and run at you and like slash you while he's running. And then once he misses you, once you dodge out of the way of that, you can then also get a few hits in while he's recovering from that. And here I'm just kind of messing around with punchline, flying around and doing donuts. So I then throw my punchline at him, do a charge shot, and then I'm going in for more attacks. So I managed to parry him here, and then I'm gonna go in for a couple of slashes. I managed to get a buster off, and then I continue attacking him. I break my punchline here in a second. I break it right into his face, so it does some extra damage. I managed to land another parry here, so I get to attack him a bit more, and then I get another parry in, but then I also get hit. And look how much damage he does. I'm in Devil Trigger, by the way, so that's a really good amount of damage he just did to me while I was in Devil Trigger. Well, right now I'm going to use my Gerber to use its ground charge attack, and that does a crap ton of damage to him because it lasts a while. So if you got a spare Gerber in your inventory lying around, then that's a good thing to use it for. Then I knock him back on the ground again, so that's going to be your chance to get more hits in, or maybe even a buster. So yeah, I then slash him with my sword a bit, then I do a charge shot too in there so that he takes more damage. I then taunt away and then do a taunt on the ground to build up my style a little bit. I go in for a streak, and then in just a little bit I'm going to show you how dangerous these guys are, because I'm going to take a massive hit. Okay, for now I buster him. Then while he's on the ground I start charging my overture, and then I plant a bomb on him, and then I'm going to explode it with my gun so he takes more damage. So yeah, there's a streak, and then boom. So yeah, now watch this. He's preparing to charge him. He's backing away. He's running at me, and I managed to not dodge out of the way, and look how much damage it took away from me. Look how much health I have just lost. That is insane. You really want to watch out with this guy, because if you do a mistake, he is going to absolutely destroy you. So I instantly Devil Trigger to get some health back, and now I'm gonna be playing a bit safe for a bit here. I launch my arm at him and then I break it, which is not what I should have done. What I should have done is charge the punchline, and then Nero would have done a massive uppercut to him. So that's what I should have done, instead of just breaking it while it's hitting him in the face. But I still take another hit here. And I'm lucky I was in Devil Trigger when that happened, because otherwise I would have taken a lot more damage and probably would have been close to death. Like, look at that. So yeah, if this does not convince you that you have to avoid getting hit by this guy, or at least try your best, or like minimize it, then I don't know what does, because he is going to hurt you, especially when he's in Devil Trigger. Alright, but I got him down on the ground. I tried to buster him, but I did not manage to do so, so he gets up. So I run away and then I shoot him for a bit, then I go into a streak. Hit up Devil Trigger to get some iframes, because you get a bunch of invisibility frames when you turn on Devil Trigger. But then I just keep going ham at him. I dodge his attacks, then when there's a window, I attack him. And yeah, that's about it really. Just keep attacking him. Make sure you don't get hit, because he will hurt you. At this point, if he hit me with the charge attack, I would definitely die. So I do want to avoid getting hit by that, because that will hurt me a lot and I will die. But yeah, no, at this point he is almost dead. I'm just getting my last few hits in, and he should die in just a second here. There we go. Yeah, kill him with the charge shot. Got a little sloppy there at the end, but it's okay. I hope I got you through it. Alright, but the mission ends. I get an S rank in the fight. 8,570 style points, and that's an S rank. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you. If you did, of course, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.